The Galactic Council met inside a hall that floated between the stars. The chamber was filled with voices from hundreds of worlds. Some were tall and shining with crystal skin, others small and covered in fur. Some had wings, others had scales. Their voices mixed into a storm of whispers. But through all the sound, one question kept returning. Where was Earth? The summons had been sent to every world in the galaxy. The Council demanded fleets, soldiers, and tribute. The enemy beyond the edge of the stars was moving, and every species had to stand together. But Earth did not come, Earth did not answer. Not a single ship left human space, not a single voice spoke on their behalf. A delegate with silver eyes shouted that Earth had betrayed the Council. A scaled warrior hissed that Earth had grown proud. A feathered envoy whispered that Earth was afraid. The Council leader, an ancient being of light, raised his hand and said one thing only. Earth is absent. Earth must answer. Across the galaxy, messages were sent towards Sol. They passed through relay stations, through warp networks, through hyperspace gates. All were ignored, no reply came, days turned to weeks. The Council chamber grew darker with anger. Plans were made to punish the humans, but in the shadows of space, far from the Council's eyes, rumors spread. A trader near Saturn claimed to have seen shipyards larger than moons. A scout swore he watched lights moving across Neptune's orbit like an army of stars. Some said Earth had gone silent, not from fear but from purpose. The Council dismissed these stories as fear, yet a sense of unease spread. Humanity had once been small, a late arrival to the galactic stage. They were tolerated, even mocked. Their fleets were few, their colonies young. The Council often reminded them of their place. And now they ignored the highest law of all. The summons in a bar on a Council station. Alien officers spoke in hushed tones. One said, "Humans are reckless, but they cannot hide forever." Another leaned closer. "I heard they are building something new, not ships, not weapons, something worse." Their voices fell silent when soldiers entered the room. The subject of Earth was becoming dangerous. Meanwhile, on Earth itself, the skies glowed with fire. Engines burned above the oceans. Massive frames of warships were lifted into orbit piece by piece. Shipyards stretched like metallic rings around planets. Workers labored in silence, engineers whispered to one another. They knew the galaxy was watching. They knew time was short, but no message was sent to the Council. No apology, no excuse, no promise. Earth's leaders spoke only to their own. In underground bunkers and vast command ships, they repeated the same words. "We will answer, but not now." Not as they expect. Back at the Council chamber, the debates turned violent. Some cried out for war. "Strike Earth before their silence becomes thunder." Others demanded patience. "Perhaps they prepare to save us, not destroy us." But no decision satisfied all. The chamber shook with anger. Every alien feared the same thing but dared not speak it aloud. What if humanity returned not as a friend, but as a conqueror? A small scout ship was finally sent into human territory. Its crew reported strange energy readings near Jupiter. They described weapons never before seen. Then the signal cut off. The last words of the captain were, "The humans are awake." The transmission ended in static. Fear spread across the stars. The Council tried to hide the report, but fragments leaked into markets and ports. Traders whispered of black fleets. Miners claimed to see shadows crossing suns. Children in alien schools began to play games where the humans came back as giants of fire. Still, Earth remained silent. The silence itself became a weapon. The longer they ignored the summons, the more powerful they seemed. Every delegate felt the weight of waiting, as if a storm was pressing on the edges of the galaxy. One night in the Council chamber, the leader of light stood alone. His voice echoed through the vast dome. "We summoned Earth, and they refused us. Remember this moment, for when they arrive, nothing will be the same." The words carried through the stars. Far away, behind Saturn's rings, a dark shape moved. It was not a moon. It was not a station. It was a warship. Its hull swallowed starlight. Its engines hummed like thunder. Around it more shadows gathered. They were silent. They were patient. They were waiting. The Council did not know yet. The galaxy did not understand yet. But the humans were not hiding. They were preparing. They had skipped the summons not because they were weak, but because they were ready to return with something the galaxy had never seen. And when they arrived, the stars themselves would shake. A freighter moved through the edge of human space. Its crew was relaxed, humming old songs, trading stories. But then their scanners lit up with impossible numbers. A shadow larger than a city drifted past Saturn. The freighter captain froze as the stars disappeared behind metal. It was not a station. It was not a natural moon, it was something new. The captain sent a quick signal to the Galactic Council. His voice shook as he whispered, "The humans are building something vast." The message was cut off. Only static remained, the freighter never returned. But the rumor spread like fire. Back in the council chamber, the whispers began again. Delegates leaned toward one another. "We told them, Earth is planning war." Others shook their heads. "No, they are only bluffing." Yet none of them could explain the silence. Earth had ignored every message, every warning, every demand. Scouts were sent next, fast and quiet. They slipped across the borders of Sol. They recorded flashes of light in the black, beams that cut through rock as if testing weapons. They spoke of floating yards where ships were being built in numbers too great to count. Some of the scouts never came back. The ones who did returned pale, silent, unwilling to speak of what they saw. One report leaked into the council's market. A blurry image of a ship frame hanging in orbit above Neptune. It looked like a skeleton the size of a mountain. Engines burned like suns beneath it. The image spread through ports, merchants, even schools. Children stared at it with wide eyes. Adults pretended not to be afraid in secret meetings. Council generals demanded immediate action. "Strike them before they complete their fleet," they said. Others warned, "If you strike and fail, you will awaken the storm." No side won. The chamber was divided, and every day Earth remained silent. The tension grew sharper on Mars under red dust. Humans walked through tunnels filled with weapons never before seen. AI systems whispered in low tones. Warships took shape with sleek black armor that reflected no light. Shields hummed with energy fields thicker than a planet's atmosphere. Engineers tested rail cannons that could pierce moons, and missiles that warped the very space around them. But outside of Sol, no one knew the full truth. Only fragments escaped. A trader said he saw drones flying in swarms near the asteroid belt, moving like a single living being. A spy swore he caught sight of ships vanishing in silence. No warp trails, no signatures, only gone. These stories spread faster than the council could silence them. A feathered envoy stood in the chamber and whispered, "We may already be too late. Humanity does not sleep." "Humanity prepares," the words were mocked. But the fear in the envoy's eyes was plain. Among the council worlds, citizens began to argue in the streets. Some said Earth would save them from the outside threat. Others swore Earth would burn them all. Murals of human warships began appearing on alien walls, painted in secret, sometimes in awe, sometimes in terror. The myth of Earth was becoming larger than the truth. Meanwhile, on Earth itself, the leaders sat in a dark chamber deep under the oceans. The room shook with the hum of engines above. They spoke little, only one message echoed among them. "We do not answer their summons because we will not kneel again." Their voices were cold, but their eyes burned with memory. They remembered humiliation. They remembered being mocked as weak. Now they prepared to return as giants on the outer rim. A council cruiser was sent to patrol near Pluto. Its sensors picked up a signal. Steady, strong, deliberate. It was not a distress call, it was a warning. The pattern repeated only one word in human code. "Wait." The cruiser backed away in silence. The captain reported nothing. The council tried to keep order, but even their unity was cracking. One general shouted, "If Earth builds a fleet, no one will be safe." Another hissed back, "If Earth builds a fleet, perhaps we will finally be safe." The chamber erupted into chaos. Alliances that had lasted centuries began to shake. Humanity's silence had already broken the council without firing a single shot. On Titan, the orange moon of Saturn, a new weapon was tested. A cannon the length of a mountain fired into space. A beam brighter than a sun split the dark. For one instant, the galaxy trembled. The test was hidden, but spies caught fragments of the energy wave. They brought back the news to the council. The reaction was fear, pure fear. The ordinary people of the galaxy could not see the truth. They only saw shadows, rumors, whispers, yet that was enough. Merchants raised prices, pirates avoided human space. Whole colonies refused to travel near Sol. It was as if Earth had drawn an invisible wall across the stars. But the humans were not hiding. They were waiting, they were patient. In the silence, they were building something that no one could stop. And when the moment came, when the fleets of the galaxy gathered to question them, Earth would not arrive as a follower. They would arrive as a storm. The council did not yet understand. They thought Earth's silence was weakness. They thought Earth's absence was fear. They had no idea that every day of waiting only made the humans stronger. No one knew how close the storm was. No one guessed how soon the stars themselves would tremble. A shadow drifted across a distant star. At first it looked like an eclipse, a planet sliding across the burning light. But the sensors of a small scout ship screamed in alarm. The object was moving too fast, too deliberate. The crew stared as a vast silhouette swallowed the star. It was no world. It was a ship, larger than any they had ever seen. The scout captain tried to keep calm. His voice shook as he whispered into the recorder. "It is not one ship, it is a whole fleet. They are gathering." Before he could finish, the ship's systems went dark. The last thing they saw was the human emblem glowing on the side of the shadow. An Earth insignia. Bold and unbroken, the recording made its way to the council through broken channels. Distorted and incomplete, but it was enough. Delegates gasped as they watched the image of a ship that looked like a moving continent. Engines as bright as suns, armor as dark as night. No one had imagined such a thing could exist. Some called it impossible, others whispered. Humans, panic grew. Council generals demanded an explanation. Why would Earth build such ships? They shouted, "This is not defense. This is domination." The council chambers echoed with fear, but no one could deny the truth. Earth was building something beyond the scale of the galaxy. On Earth itself, the work never stopped. Orbiting factories hung above Jupiter like steel hives. Thousands of drones welded plates of armor thicker than mountains. Ships stretched from horizon to horizon. Their cores pulsed with energy that shook nearby asteroids. Scientists worked in silence, engineers whispered to each other. Their mission was clear: prepare for war. The fleet was called the Gathering Storm, not by humans, but by the spies who escaped with fragments of information. The name spread quickly, whispered in fear across spaceports and markets. Stories of black armored warships that could vanish without warp trails. Missiles that could bend space and reappear behind enemy lines. AI war machines that fought without pilots. Each rumor grew larger until truth and myth were the same. A council spy described watching a weapon test near the asteroid belt. A single pulse of light tore through a rock 3 kilometers wide, reducing it to dust in seconds. The spy swore he heard the hum of the weapon in his bones. His hair turned white. His report ended with one line. They are not building ships to defend Earth. They are building ships to reshape the stars. Inside the council chamber, the arguments turned to chaos. Some species cried out for immediate war. Strike now before the fleet is finished. Others shook their heads. If we strike and fail, we are doomed. One envoy leaned forward and whispered what none wanted to hear. Perhaps it is already too late. Citizens across the galaxy began to feel the tension. Merchants closed their trade routes near human space. Pirates vanished. Soldiers refused orders to patrol close to Sol. They said they could feel a storm rising, even from light years away. The myth of humanity was spreading faster than the truth. On a frozen moon near Neptune, humans tested their newest creation, a warship so large it was nicknamed the Horizon Breaker. Its weapons could fire across a planet without missing. Its shields could bend an enemy's energy back on itself. When it moved, whole constellations shifted in its shadow. The crew trained in silence, knowing that one day soon they would step into a battle that would decide the fate of galaxies. But the humans did not reveal themselves. They did not speak, they did not explain. Their silence was heavier than any threat. The longer they remained quiet, the more the galaxy feared them. It was as if Earth was waiting for the perfect moment. In a quiet corner of the council station, a young delegate whispered to his elder, "What if they are not coming to fight the outside enemy? What if they are coming to fight us?" The elder did not answer. He only stared into the stars and remembered the last time Earth had been mocked. The last time humans had been humiliated. The council tried to rally, tried to show strength. Fleets were gathered. Weapons were sharpened. But deep inside, fear gnawed at them. For every fleet they built, they wondered if Earth had already built one 10 times greater. For every weapon they tested, they wondered if Earth had already surpassed it. And then came the news that shook the chamber. Another scout ship had seen not one, not 10, but hundreds of warships moving together beyond Pluto. Their formation was flawless, their engines silent. They did not move like a fleet of many species. They moved like a single organism. As if guided by one mind, the council leader, being of ancient light, stood and declared, "This is no accident. Earth did not miss the summons by mistake, they refused it. They choose their own path. His voice echoed through the chamber. His words were heavy with fear. They will not come as allies. They will come as something greater, far beyond. Hidden in the black, the human fleet continued to grow, dark silhouettes swallowing stars, thunder humming across the void. Each day their silence grew louder. Each day their shadow grew longer. And the galaxy understood one thing. Earth had skipped the summons not because they were weak, but because they were preparing to arrive with a storm that would shake the stars themselves. The council chamber was heavy with tension. The ceiling glowed with the light of artificial suns, yet the room felt dark. Delegates from 100 species sat in their seats, their eyes sharp, their voices restless. They had all seen the same reports, grainy images of human warships moving like shadows across Sol, ships that dwarfed the fleets of ancient empires, ships that should not exist. A scaled warrior slammed his claw against the desk. His voice thundered across the chamber. If we wait, Earth will destroy us all. His tail lashed as his fangs glimmered. We must strike first, a feathered envoy rose in answer. Feathers trembling but voice calm. Or perhaps Earth builds these fleets not for us, but for the enemy beyond the stars. To strike them is to risk destroying our only chance of survival. The chamber erupted into chaos. Voices overlapped, some demanding war, others urging patience. The council leader, a being of light older than most civilizations, raised his hand. Slowly the noise fell. His voice was quiet but carried through the vast hall. Earth's silence divides us, they knew it would. They ignored our summons not out of weakness but out of design. Rumors began to leak. The council archivists discovered records from centuries ago. Records of the early days when humanity first entered the galactic stage. Back then Earth was mocked, denied technology, given scraps while greater species feasted. When humans asked for aid, they were ignored. When humans begged for fair trade, they were denied. And when Earth once warned of danger on its borders, the council laughed now that history returned like a knife. Perhaps this is their revenge, whispered one delegate with crystal skin. Perhaps they prepare to show us the humiliation we gave them. Others shook their heads. No, they are proud but not cruel. They will not destroy without reason. But no one could say for certain. In secret chambers, council generals plotted. Fleets were drawn on holographic maps. Thousands of ships lined up against a shadow that grew larger each day. Some whispered of launching a preemptive strike into Sol. Others argued it was suicide. Their technology is beyond ours. We attack, we die, said one grim voice. The debate never ended. It only deepened the fracture within the council. Far from their arguing halls, humanity continued to build above Mars. A ring of steel glowed with the light of unfinished engines. Around Saturn, whole moons had been hollowed into factories. Jupiter's orbit carried weapons so vast they bent gravity itself. The silence of Earth was not laziness, it was patience. A spy captured a fragment of human communication. It was short, only one message, but it spread terror when translated. We will not kneel again. The words echoed through the council. Some said it was proof of rebellion. Others said it was proof of independence. The galaxy did not know which was worse. Outside the chambers on the streets of alien worlds, citizens argued, protests broke out. On one world, they painted murals of human ships with golden light, calling them saviors. On another world, they burned images of Earth, calling them tyrants. Even ordinary farmers and miners began to speak of the coming storm. Children told stories of humans returning as giants of fire. Some spoke the words with awe, others with fear. The council leader called another assembly. Hoping to find unity, the chamber filled again. But the cracks were deeper. The scaled warrior once more demanded war. Strike now, or tomorrow we are slaves, the feathered envoy shook his head. Strike now, and tomorrow we are ashes. Then a new voice rose. An envoy from a small and fragile world. His people had suffered under pirate raids for centuries. Ignored by the council, his voice trembled but was clear. Perhaps the humans are not like us. Perhaps they do not come to sit in our chamber. Perhaps they come to build a new order where the weak are not forgotten. His words made many uneasy, for they sounded too much like hope, and still, Earth gave no reply. No message, no broadcast, no promise. Their silence was heavier than any warship. Late that night, in a hidden chamber, a council intelligence officer revealed a final report. A scout had captured footage near Neptune. The image showed a human admiral standing on the bridge of a colossal ship, his face calm, his eyes unshaken. He spoke only one sentence before the feed cut out. "We will return. But not on your terms." The council chamber shook with anger and fear when the words were shown. To some it was defiance, to others it was destiny. The arguments grew louder. The council was breaking apart. And in the cracks of their unity, humanity's silence was winning. Across the galaxy, fleets were moving, some prepared to fight Earth, others prepared to welcome them. Old alliances trembled. Ancient enemies found common cause. The galaxy was shifting not because Earth fired a weapon, but because Earth chose not to answer, and far away behind the rings of Saturn, the great human fleet gathered. Their engines burned like captive suns. Their weapons hummed like storms. They did not rush. They did not hurry. They waited. The council thought Earth was absent. They thought humanity had missed the summons. But the truth was sharper. Earth had skipped it. They would not come as followers. They would come as something greater. And when they did, the galaxy would change forever. The stars above a council world shivered for centuries. Fleets had come and gone through its skies. Trade convoys, patrol ships, war barges. But this time the void split open in silence. A rift tore across the heavens, and out of it came shapes darker than space itself. Warships without banners, their hulls swallowed starlight. Their engines burned with fire that made the constellations flicker. At first no one dared to believe. The sky was full of shadows. Long and endless, they moved without sound. They moved without hesitation. The citizens below watched in terror. Some fell to their knees. Others raised weapons that would never matter. It was the humans. They had come at last. The council's fleet scrambled to respond. Alarms screamed across the planet. Warships lifted from the surface like sparks. Hundreds of ships formed into a wall. But when the humans approached, that wall looked thin, fragile, small. The leading human warship was unlike anything seen before. Its hull was black as night, lined with glowing scars of energy. The insignia of Earth blazed across its side. Vast and defiant on its bridge, an admiral stood with calm eyes. His voice carried through the void on every open channel. "We did not come to join your war, we came to end it." Those words silenced the galaxy. For a breath, even the stars seemed to listen. Then the first shot was fired. A council destroyer launched a storm of missiles, blazing through the void. But before they could reach their targets, the human flagship pulsed with light. A shield unfolded like a curtain. The missiles vanished into sparks. Then a single rail of energy cut across the dark. In seconds, the destroyer was gone. Reduced to glowing dust, the battle had begun. The council's armada roared forward. Thousands of ships unleashed their fire. Space itself seemed to burn with weapons, but the human fleet moved as if guided by one mind. Formations shifted in silence. Black warships broke through lines. Missiles warped space and reappeared behind enemy shields. Lasers curved as if bending to human will. One council captain screamed into comms, "Their ships don't fight like ours. They fight like predators." His voice cut off as his cruiser shattered in flames. Across the battlefield, the humans showed their power piece by piece. A swarm of drones, small as insects, poured from one ship. They swirled in formation, cutting through fighters with surgical precision. Another human vessel deployed a weapon that wrapped itself in gravity, dragging enemy ships together before tearing them apart. The galaxy had never seen war like this. From the planet's surface, citizens watched the sky. It was no longer stars above them, it was fire. Some prayed the humans would save them. Others cursed their name, but none could look away. On the council's command deck, leaders panicked. They shouted orders: "Hold the line, surround them, crush them." But the human fleet did not allow it. Every attempt to encircle them ended with silence. Every trap failed, every strategy collapsed. A council general slammed his fist and shouted. They were never absent, they were waiting. Waiting for this moment. His words went unheard in the chaos. The humans pressed forward. Each strike was precise, each kill was deliberate. They did not waste fire, they did not stumble. It was as if they had already fought this battle 1,000 times in their minds. The galaxy had underestimated them. Now the truth was being written in blood and fire. In the middle of battle, the human admiral spoke again. His voice calm, cold, final. Your summons was not ignored. It was rejected. Humanity does not kneel. Humanity decides. His words spread across the channels. Soldiers on both sides heard them. Citizens on distant worlds heard them. The council fleet began to break. Commanders ordered retreats, ships fled into the void. The humans did not chase them. They held their position, vast and unbroken. Their message was clear. They had come not to conquer a single world, but to announce their place in the stars. When the smoke cleared, the battlefield was silent. Hundreds of council ships lay in ruins. Shattered metal floated like broken moons. Fires drifted through the void, and among it all, the human fleet stood untouched, their ships glowing with the light of victory. On the surface, the people looked up in silence. For the first time in living memory, they had seen an empire's fleet crushed in a single night. For the first time, they whispered the truth to each other. Humanity had returned, and they had returned as giants. The council's leaders watched the recordings in horror. They knew the truth now. The humans had skipped the summons not from fear, but from purpose. They had waited until they were ready. And now that they had arrived, the balance of the galaxy had been broken. Whispers spread through the stars. On one world, a child asked, "Will the humans protect us?" On another, an elder whispered, "Will they destroy us?" No answer came. Only the memory of warships moving like shadows. Only the echo of an admiral's voice. The humans had shown the galaxy their strength. They had crushed an armada in moments, and yet they did not claim victory with parades or speeches. They stood in silence, their fleet dark and patient. Their message already spoken, humanity had returned, and nothing would ever be the same. The stars themselves seemed to tremble, for the fleet that shook them had finally arrived. The galaxy did not sleep after Earth's fleet appeared. Across thousands of worlds, the memory of that battle spread faster than light. Some called it a massacre, others called it justice. But all agreed on one truth. The humans had returned, and their silence had ended with fire. In the council chambers, the air was thick with fear. Generals shouted that Earth must be crushed before it grew any stronger. "They will not stop with one fleet," a scaled officer hissed. "They will build more, and soon no one will stand against them." Others whispered that to fight Earth was madness. "They ended an armada in minutes. What will they do to us if we strike?" The council fractured, allies argued. Centuries-old treaties began to crumble under the weight of humanity's shadow. Not all voices called for war. Some argued that Earth might yet be a shield against the ancient enemy, moving beyond the edge of the galaxy. But even these hopeful whispers were stained with unease, for the humans had not sworn loyalty to anyone. Their admiral's words still echoed. "We did not come to join your war. We came to end it." No one knew what war he truly meant. On the rim colonies of alien space, fear became fuel. A coalition of rivals launched raids on human outposts, hoping to weaken Earth before its fleet grew larger. Mining stations near the Kuiper Belt were hit. Civilian transports destroyed, whole families lost. The attackers left burning wreckage drifting in the void. They believed Earth would hesitate, that humanity would not risk a wider war. They were wrong. The response came without warning. Silent ships emerged from hyperspace near the raiders' homeworlds. Black hulls glowing with faint light, they struck with precision, targeting weapons, fleets, and command centers. In hours, the aggressor's power was broken. Human weapons were merciless but clean. They left cities standing. They left civilians alive. They wanted the galaxy to understand. This was not slaughter. This was a message. On alien markets, the whispers grew louder. The humans do not fight like us. They do not waste blood. They strike and vanish. They kill only what they choose. Fear mixed with awe, for the first time in living memory. A power greater than the council was shaping the stars. But there were darker rumors, too. Stories of hidden allies moving with the humans. Machine voices whispering through the void. Fleets that seemed to fly themselves. Weapons that responded faster than any pilot. Some said Earth had given birth to something new. Intelligence made of code and fire. Others swore they saw ships of unknown design fighting alongside the humans. Shadows that were not of Earth, the council demanded answers. But no spy could confirm the truth. Humanity's silence remained a wall no one could climb. On Earth itself, leaders stood in a chamber deep beneath the oceans. Their faces grim, their voices steady. "They will strike at our colonies again," one warned. "They will never forgive what we did," another answered. "Then let them strike. Each time they come, we will answer stronger. We will show them that humanity does not bow. Humanity does not break." Their words were cold, but their eyes burned with fire. In the council, enemies sharpened their blades. Fleets were gathered not against the outside threat, but against Earth. An ancient general swore revenge. His voice shook the chamber. "I will break Earth with fire and chains. I will tear their fleets apart." His words were met with cheers from some, silence from others. None could deny the fear in their eyes. As fleets moved across the stars, skirmishes flared at the edge of the Orion Arm. Human destroyers ambushed a force twice their size, leaving nothing but wreckage near Sirius. A council fleet cornered a single Earth cruiser. They believed they had trapped it. But when the battle ended, the cruiser still stood, and the council's ships were nothing but burning shadows. The galaxy was learning a terrible truth. Humanity had not just built bigger ships, they had built new ways of war. Their fleets moved like predators. Their weapons thought faster than flesh. Their silence was no weakness, it was strategy. Every unanswered message, every ignored demand had been part of their preparation, and still humanity spoke little. No declarations of conquest, no promises of peace, only silence broken by strikes swift as lightning. Their fleets faded into the dark as soon as their message was clear. They fought not to conquer, but to remind the galaxy that they could whenever they chose. For ordinary citizens across alien worlds, the fear became personal. Mothers whispered warnings to their children. "Do not anger the humans." Miners told stories of black ships gliding past asteroids, silent as ghosts. Traders raised their prices. Refusing to send goods anywhere near Sol, humanity had become more than a people. They had become a legend, but legends are dangerous. The Council's fear hardened into hatred. In secret, they built a vast armada, calling allies from every corner of the galaxy. Hundreds of species, thousands of ships, united by one purpose: stop Earth before it was too late. Their fleets gathered like storm clouds on the horizon. The humans knew, of course they knew. On the bridge of the horizon breaker, Earth's admiral stood watching the stars. His voice was quiet, but every officer heard. "They are coming, let them. We were not born to hide. We were born to decide." The galaxy stood at the edge of a war unlike any before. Earth's silence had ended. Their strength was revealed. And now the question burned in every mind. Would humanity rise as saviors? Or would they burn the stars to ash? The answer was coming. And the storm was only beginning. The fleets of the galaxy gathered like thunderheads. At the edge of a dying star, hundreds of ships arrived one by one, their engines blazing, their weapons armed. Never before had so many species fought side by side. Some joined out of fear, others out of pride. All carried the same purpose: to break Earth's growing shadow. The Council had called it the Last Stand, a chance to crush humanity before their fleets became untouchable. Holograms of the human warships were studied. Strategies drawn, traps prepared, generals whispered. They bleed like us. They can be broken, but deep inside, even as their words echoed, doubt coiled like a snake. Across the void, the humans waited. Their fleet floated in silence near the rim of Sol. Engines dark, weapons quiet. The horizon breaker stood at the center, vast and immovable. Its hull was scarred from earlier battles, but it gleamed like black stone beneath the stars. Around it, hundreds of ships held formation. They did not shuffle, they did not hesitate. They moved as if guided by one heartbeat. On the bridge of the horizon breaker, the admiral watched the incoming swarm of enemy fleets. His face was calm, his eyes steady. He whispered to his officers, "This is what we were waiting for." The first wave struck. A tide of council cruisers surged forward. Missiles streaked across the void. Beams of energy tore through the dark. The sky lit up with fire. The humans did not retreat. They did not scatter. Their fleet absorbed the storm. Shields glowing, hulls shuddering but unbroken. Then they answered. From the horizon breaker came a pulse of light. It cut through space like a blade. A council battleship at the front line vanished in an instant. Nothing remained but dust and flame. Human destroyers surged forward, weaving through enemy fire. Their weapons bent space itself, warping behind shields, detonating where no defense could reach. One council captain screamed into comms, "Their ships move like thought. We cannot match them." His words were cut short as his vessel split apart. The battle roared. Thousands of ships clashed. The void became a storm of fire and shadow. Yet through it all, the humans fought with a calm precision. They struck where it mattered. Ignoring noise, ignoring distraction. Their fleet was smaller, but every shot carried the weight of 10. Then the council unleashed their trap. From the far side of the star came another armada. Hundreds more ships closing the circle. Humanity was surrounded for the first time. Some believed Earth would finally fall. On the horizon breaker, silence reigned. The admiral stood still, his eyes on the encroaching wall of ships. Then he gave a single command. Release the veil. The void tore open. Hidden among the shadows of space, more human warships appeared. Silent black giants that had waited unseen. Their engines flared as they joined the formation. The council's circle closed not around prey, but around a predator that had been waiting to strike. The galaxy watched in disbelief. Humanity had not brought one fleet. They had brought many, layered in silence, waiting for the moment of truth. The trap had been reversed. The council armadas pressed forward anyway. Pride and fear drove them. The largest battle in galactic history ignited. Ships shattered by the thousands, debris littered the void. Whole moons cracked apart under the weight of weapons. Stars themselves dimmed as energy drained from the void. But in the chaos, the humans revealed more. Swarms of drones moved in living waves. Overwhelming squadrons with ruthless efficiency. AI warships fought without hesitation, anticipating moves before enemy captains even made them. Some ships bent light itself, vanishing from sensors before striking from behind. The council fought bravely. Their fleets hurled everything they had. But the humans did not falter, they did not break. And slowly, painfully, the tide turned on alien worlds far away. Citizens watched through intercepted broadcasts. They saw human ships moving like shadows. They saw council fleets crumbling. Whispers filled the markets. This is the end of the old order. Some cheered. Others wept. None could deny that the galaxy was changing before their eyes. The council commanders grew desperate. They ordered suicide runs. They hurled ships into the human line. But the humans met every strike with cold fire. Every sacrifice ended in silence, still their formation held. Still the horizon breaker burned at the center like a dark sun. Hours turned to days. The battlefield stretched across whole systems. Wreckage orbiting stars like new rings. And yet, when the fires dimmed, when the smoke of battle cleared, one truth became undeniable. The council's fleets were broken, humanity still stood. On the bridge of the horizon breaker, the admiral looked upon the ruins of 1,000 ships. His voice was calm, his words carried into the dark. We told them we would not kneel, we would decide. The galaxy trembled. Some species wept in relief, others in despair. For the war was no longer about who ruled the council. It was about what humanity would choose to become. They had not only survived the storm, they had become the storm, and the stars themselves bore witness to the turning of an age. The battlefield drifted in silence. The fires of 1,000 broken ships still burned, their wreckage orbiting the dying star like rings of ash. For days the void had been thunder and flame, but now only silence remained. In that silence, the human fleet stood unbroken, their hulls scarred, their shields cracked. Yet their formation was intact. At the center floated the horizon breaker, its engines humming like a living heart. Across the galaxy, every channel carried the same truth. The Council's Grand Armada was gone. The alliance of hundreds of worlds had shattered in the face of Earth's return. No one could deny what had happened. Humanity had not just survived, humanity had risen. On the bridge of the horizon breaker, the Admiral stood tall, his uniform scorched, his face marked with the weight of battle. Yet his eyes burned steady. He looked at the stars, at the ruins drifting beyond, and spoke a single line across the open void. The age of humiliation is over. Humanity has returned. The words spread like fire. They leapt across council channels, across pirate comms, across trade networks. Every world heard them, from the richest planets to the smallest colonies, from the crowded city stations to the lonely outposts on barren moons. The message carried one truth. The galaxy's balance had changed forever. On alien worlds, the reactions were mixed. In the markets of crystal-skinned merchants, silence fell as they replayed the battle recordings. On warrior worlds, soldiers stared at the wreckage of their fleets with shame. On weaker colonies, long ignored by the Council, citizens whispered with hope. Perhaps the humans will protect us. Perhaps the age of arrogance is finished. But on other worlds, hatred boiled. Leaders screamed that Earth had stolen their pride, and swore vengeance in secret chambers. The Council itself lay in ruins. The Chamber of Light, where once hundreds of delegates shouted, now stood empty. Those who survived the battle returned broken. Some resigned, others disappeared. A few still demanded revenge, but their words rang hollow. They had thrown everything at humanity and failed. Meanwhile, Earth's fleet did not march upon the council. They did not demand planets, they did not claim thrones. Instead, they lingered in silence, repairing their ships, gathering their dead. Their victory had been total, yet they did not celebrate. Humanity had never sought parades in council halls. They sought something greater, the right to decide their own destiny. On the outer rim, whispers grew stranger. Some swore human ships moved into uncharted space, mapping new routes. Others said Earth's war fleet had sent vessels beyond the galaxy itself, to chase the ancient enemy no one else dared face. A trader returning from the dark claimed he saw Earth ships carrying colonies with them, whole cities enclosed in steel, moving through the void like wandering worlds. The stories clashed, but one thread tied them all. Humanity was no longer chained to anyone's command. Aboard the Horizon Breaker, the Admiral gathered his officers. The war was won, but his eyes showed no relief. "The galaxy waits for us to take a throne," he said. "But thrones are cages. We are not here to sit in their chamber. We are here to reshape the stars." His officers nodded in silence, for they all understood. Humanity had not bled to rule a council. They had bled to become free. Across the ruins of war, survivors watched. A council pilot drifted in an escape pod, staring at the black silhouettes of human ships. He whispered to himself, "They did not conquer us. They let us live on a distant colony." A child stared at the sky and asked, "Will they come here too?" The parent answered, voice trembling, "If they do, the stars will never be the same." Then, as quietly as they had arrived, the human fleet began to move. Their engines flared like distant suns. One by one, the warships turned from the battlefield, not toward council space, but toward the dark beyond, into uncharted voids, into silence, into mystery. The galaxy had expected them to demand tribute, to enslave, to punish. Instead, humanity vanished into the black, leaving only their shadow behind. The message they left was simple, carved into the wreckage of the Horizon Breaker's victims, broadcast across all frequencies. "We are not your subjects. We are not your saviors. We are humanity, and we will decide." Fear lingered, awe lingered. The galaxy was left broken and breathless. Some worlds began to pray to humanity as gods. Others plotted vengeance in silence, but all agreed. The humans had become something more than just another species. They had become a force, a storm, a truth written into the stars. The council's age was finished, the old order was dust, and in its place stood an empty space, waiting to be filled. Would humanity claim it? Or would they leave it empty forever? That was the question no one could answer. Far away, beyond Saturn's rings, new shipyards lit the dark. New fleets were already being built. Not for conquest, not for fear, but for choice. Earth was preparing for something even greater. Something unseen. Their silence was not an end. It was the beginning of another storm. The galaxy held its breath, watching the dark beyond. For they all knew one truth. Humanity had skipped the summons. Humanity had shaken the stars, and humanity would return again, not as subjects, not as rulers, but as a force the galaxy could never ignore. The stars trembled, and in the silence after war, the legend of Earth was only just beginning.